the IO Volare. Let's talk about it. Alright, this is a 9-driver, 4 EST, 4 BA, and 1 dynamic driver per side IEM that is a fairly new release that I have on loan from a friend, so I do not have the full accessories. This IEM is $600. Let's start off by talking about this IEM a little bit. Not too long ago, a lot of people got sent this IEM. You saw a lot of reviews popping up and around, all around. And, so it's nice to be able to review something. It's kind of almost sad sometimes when other reviewers get stuff. You're like, oh, I didn't get that. And you feel a little sad. And, there's a little bit of sentiment, like not getting invited to, some cool high school party or something. But it's kind of whatever. Point is, we got this here now. A little late to the party, but it's cool. Let's get into this IEM. It's an interesting, a lot of drivers. But let's start by talking about, what this IEM is and talk about the build quality a little bit of this IEM. Now, I don't have a full unboxing. I just have the transducer, so just the shells and the aftermarket cable. So we're not even going to show that. There's really no point. But you look at this, it's kind of a small shell. It's really pretty. It has a lot of kind of sparkle on it. It's kind of slippery. It doesn't have that lip that kind of sits well in my ear. So it's not that great at fitting, but it's also not terrible. It fits ear tips well. And it's, it has a really pretty shell. Something that's kind of cool about this is there's an I and an O on these. And so not only does it look good, it has, a nice kind of a fun design. I like the sparkle. I like the gray and white. It's, kind of like a silver panther or like a white wolf. And it's just, I don't know, it has kind of this mysterious, cool look to it. So as far as build quality goes, it's pretty good. At least it's pretty. We'll give it that. Definitely pretty. All right, let's start by looking at the graph of this IEM. Now, this is not a bad looking graph. I mean, it has decent bass. It kind of raises up in the mid-range and, it has decent extension. It sounds in ear exceedingly safe. Now, personally, whenever I listen to an earphone that's this price, I expect excitement. I expect a wow factor. And for me, the Volare just doesn't have that wow factor. It doesn't have that details, those sparkles. And I find it a little bit of an unoriginal set. Usually I try to talk about other brands, but since this is a new brand, we're not going to do that. We're just going to look at some other IEMs around this price and a few other IEMs that I think might be a better deal that give you a similar tuning for this price. Now, let's look at a few others. The first one to look at is the Theaudio Oracle MK3. Now, I like the bass of the Oracle MK3. I mean, their upper mids are a little bit, it's questionably which one you're going to like better. I think the Oracle's probably a little bit more engaging and a little bit more fun. It also has a lot more air and extension. Like, I don't know, like when I see this upper air region really extended and just kind of, popping off, I really feel that it sounds good. I feel with the Volare, it just sounds dead and neutral. It does not have an excitement to it. Listening to music just feels really bland. It doesn't sound bad, but it sounds exceedingly neutral and not fun to the point where it doesn't really feel correct for my ears. So for me, I like the Theaudio Oracle MK3 a little bit better. I think I would recommend it. It's also a bit cheaper. So I think, the Oracle, and plus you're getting a C. I kind of would go in that regard with that IEM for my take, but it's gonna be close. I kind of think you got to figure out what's right for you. Both of these have a lot of 5 and 6K energy for me. Both of them have their faults, but neither IEM is particularly awesome in my regards, but they're both kind of okay. Here's one that is awesome. The High Senior Mega 5 EST is an awesome set. A lot of people really like it. Notice it has a better bass shelf. Note it has this gradual uprising in its mids. Notice that it has kind of peaked energy down here. It just overall sounds a lot better than Volare. Like, it has a wow factor. It has kind of an excitement. It's kind of the hyped set of late. Where, I mean, if you listen to other reviewers, not just me, I mean, go watch like the other 9 reviews that are, because that of the Volare that popped out, because they like pretty much all popped off at the same time because they had an NDA. The Meze Alba did the exact same thing not too long ago, where you all of a sudden you saw like 10 reviews, bloop, 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 and they all just kind of popped off because the NDA lifted, right? So with this, what's interesting here is, not very many people were very hyped about it. Like that Mega 5 EST, has way less energy, way less treble, but it still comes across really clean and really good. I think if you're going to spend that kind of money, I think you could even get the High Senior Mega 5 EST if you go through High Senior for like a slight discount. And so you can get it for like $525. To me, that's it's an easy win. That's by far what I would go with. And a better way to go. You can even get it customized if you want and get a Mega 5 EST base version, which I'm actually getting here in a few weeks. And so that's really something to consider to see hey, this is what a lot of people think is a reference tune set for that price, actually a little bit cheaper. Although the accessories for the Volare are very class, they're mint, they're what I would expect out of an even more expensive earphone. But honestly, price and accessories doesn't really matter. Sometimes you see like $200 sets that are accessorized better than $10,000 sets. It kind of doesn't matter. Like sometimes even the expensive stuff doesn't even have a cable. But that's neither here nor there. The point being is that I would go with the High Senior Mega 5 EST. I think it's a great set and it's way better than the Volare. All right, the next one I want to look at, this is one that's coming out pretty soon, is the Dyna Quattro. I mean, the Dyna Quattro is half the price. Half. And I think it's a better set. It has really good upper air mids. It has really good bass. It just really good texturing. Here's the thing. There's neutral, and there's neutral with like a little bit of flair, and there's just way too much flair, right? For me, the binary Dyna Quattro just has that little bit of extra push, that little bit of extra fun, and it really works for my library and what I want. And so for me, that's something that I would recommend over the Volare. Now, I don't know. I mean, the Volare is it's just so vanilla. It's just so boring. It's just so uninteresting. Like even when you listen to it, there's just not a whole lot about it that I think justifies its $600 price. As we go up the chain, even something like the Da Vinci, I've seen Da Vinci's on the used market now for like $225. This is something that's a lot better in my ears. It's a lot cleaner. You'll notice that like lower dip on the Da Vinci. I mean, the extended trebles, I think probably just as good, or if not better, on the Da Vinci. I think the Da Vinci just handily beats the Volare in so many ways. Another one to consider is the Dusk. Now, the Dusk is a little bit less of upper mids, but I think it has better upper air, upper treble. I think the Dusk is a solid set. Again, it's like half the price of Volare, and so it's a really strong thing to consider. You get the USB-C cable. You can do a little bit of quick, easy peasy EQ with it. It's a really solid set to consider in this price, and I think it's something that's a little better than the Volare and offers something kind of unique to consider. Now, the thing is, you don't always need to spend a lot of money, and kind of what was the knife in the coffin for me on this IEM is when I compared this versus, say, the Super Mix. I thought the Super Mix is a better set. Like, it's just bassier, it's nicer, it has almost the exact same tune. I mean, if we're trusting the graphs are right, I mean, the Super Mix and the Volare basically have the same graph. If anything, the Super Mix 4 has like a little bit better graph and a little bit better upper air extension. And I think that's kind of the way to go. And that's, I've seen the Super Mix on sale for like $125. So there's a lot of different products that you could get that I think are better than the Volare. I think the Volare is targeted for people that want kind of a neutral set, a pretty decent set that might be enticed by a bunch of drivers and a bunch of YouTubers that are all popping off on the same day. I think it's a solid release. I think it's one of those, it's just not terrible. But that's also is kind of the problem of this set. Okay, let's rank this thing up. 7.7 overall. B. But for $600, I expect more. I expect a little bit more dynamically tuned. I expect just something with a little bit more wow factor and detail. I expect to be, I would say, amazed, but I expect something that's not a vanilla Harman tuning. And there's nothing wrong with doing Harman if you can do it cheap, if you can do it well with something else. But when there's IEMs that are cheaper than what you provide, it's kind of hard to justify this IEM on a tuning basis. But if in a world where you can buy cables for cheap, you can buy ear tips for cheap and cases for cheap, that when you go 600, you really would have to have a really impressive thing that you need the whole package. And I don't know, I think the Volare just kind of disappoints. It's just sort of okay. It feels neutral. It feels kind of okay. It's just, it's nice overall quality, but it doesn't justify the upward price. I mean, you get something like the Let's Shure Cadenza 4, I think would be better. There's a lot more fun options you could get. Like we could have compared this to, say, the Variations. I think the Variations is at least fun. And so does this dethrone the Variations? Absolutely not. There's tons of other sets out there that I think might be a better set for you. Stuff that's cheaper, stuff that's easier to acquire even on the used market for cheap. That might be something that I would recommend over the Volare. But if someone gifts it to you, just say thank you. It's not a bad set. It's pretty and has a lot of good qualities and characteristics going on to it. When I evaluate IEMs, I evaluate them on kind of that wow factor. I evaluate them on a price. If it already has a high price, and I get kind of worried. This IEM to me does not feel like an IEM that's truly worthy of its price. I feel like it is a very pretty IEM. It looks great. It sits in ear well. It has nice accessories. If you want to watch one of the, 9+ other reviews of this on YouTube, you can. And see the full unboxing experience. I'm sure you can find at least 4 videos that do that. So we're not doing that here. But suffice to say, it's a nice package. It's beautiful. But sonically, I feel like you can get something like this for a lot cheaper. Even something like the Hexa to me has more details and technicalities than this guy. I just find it kind of middling, kind of acceptable, but not something that I'm like, wow, I need this in my collection, because I already have a Harman. I mean, if you're looking for a lean Harman, Cadenza 4. If you have a ton of money and you're like, oh, I want this, I mean, go ahead and buy it. But don't be expected to be like, wow, I love this IEM. It's so awesome. I mean, it's okay. It's just okay. And that's the problem. The more you pay, the more you got to expect. Never ever buy products like this blind. Try to demo it at a show or borrow it from a friend. I'm very thankful to Mark from SuperReviews for letting me borrow this unit and get to experience this, just because, it's something that I'm glad I didn't have to pay for and regret reselling it or whatever. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions below, leave them in the comments, and hopefully see you in another video soon. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?